No.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's amazing. It's wonderful to see you all. It's been a little while since we've done one of these lives, and Debbie, who sat in the wrong stream, I don't know how she's got that one. I'm going to kick her off. Let me go back out. One of the people is coming to our stream, but anyway, I don't know how she got that link. It's lovely to see you all, and we look forward to helping you, I guess, navigate this time. So I've got my Christmas glasses on. Lynda's got her decorations. Kathryn's the only one that didn't get
sorry.
I
haven't got the tree up yet.
Haven't you?
No,
we do that. We've done that one. But I thought, while everyone's coming on, so please say hello. Let us know where you're from. We are going to share our tips. But really, if you've got questions and things that are causing anxiety and concern for you, or anything that you'd like us to kind of talk to, put a question in the comments, and we will we'll address that too. So before we start, let's introduce ourselves. So I'll start with you, Kathryn Mayne, if you want to say hello and tell everyone a little bit about you.
Sure. Hello, my name is Kathryn Mayne. I am a certified integrative health and nutrition coach. I work with the incredible team at Sydney Low Carb Specialist as their health coach. So I get to work with some most incredible patients and really witnessing some incredible transformations for people that are sometimes quite sick and sometimes people just wanting to see a shift. Everybody does come for weight loss. However, it's not about the weight loss. There is so much more to see. And what I do find is I see that they not only make that difference in their health, but it does then go into other parts of their lives, which is really, really exciting. And it's an honour and a privilege to work with these patients every single week. And we've still got people signing up at this time of the year, which is really exciting for people to take on such a program at this time of the year. So that's a little bit about me. I live in Sydney. I have a family, a beautiful dog, and my family is not all low carb. My husband is low carb when it suits him. And, so I do navigate that whole family of non-low carbers as well, which will be really interesting for me when we go away after Christmas as a family, and which always is, but we all just respect each other and go with the flow.
Yeah, and I think that's essentially what it is. I mean, it's a very common scenario, certainly with my clients. I'm lucky my hubby and I kind of do this together, but our family doesn't. And I think that's a big part of that, finding acceptance that everyone's on their own path and everyone needs to do it, for them. And of course, everyone, the whole world is not going to change and suddenly become low carb. But, we can, step into really just making the choices for us, which is quite confronting, and why, that's a lot of the work we do as coaches, helping people find that courage. So awesome. Lynda Rose, say hello.
Hello, and thank you for having me along. Hello, Kathryn. You've reminded me of a little funny thing last Christmas. Was it last Christmas we were camping? We all went camping down to Bremer Bay. I was low carby, very, very low carby. My husband was a little bit, and I've got 4 kids that just are not really on the low carb. They think they are, but they're not really. And my title for the weekend was they changed my name from Mum or Lynda to "Has it got carbs in that?" That was my.
I love it.
They made me a T-shirt with the Carb Queen on it. So
yeah, that's brilliant.
It was pretty funny. So I'm wondering this year if they've remembered and they might give me a T-shirt with Carb Queen on it.
Oh, that's funny.
So was pretty funny. I live in WA. I have a degree in nutrition. I have some holistic coaching training. My passion is working with people that are keen to change their body composition. So moving around from to a more muscly or less fat, more muscle composition on your bodies. And that's my mind is going at the moment. I seem to be going down that pathway. I have been mostly carnivore most of this year. Probably started more carnivore in about January. I've seen a huge change in my body. and my mindset and my clarity of thinking and my just ability to concentrate, and my skin has gotten really great. I teach Pilates as well, which is another great tool to have in my tool belt, because I can see the changes in the women that I'm working with. And at the minute, I seem to have attracted a younger crew, which is great. But for me, it's really making me use my body more, because I've got to kind of keep ahead of them. They're pretty strong. So that's been fun. And yeah, that's what I do all the way over on the West Coast.
Awesome. Well, look at us. I love this. You know, I'm in Melbourne, Kathryn's in Sydney, and Lynda's in Perth, but we've connected on a very, very similar level. So we've known each other for quite a few years, and all three of us obviously very passionate and have a very strong belief to do what we do. And, you know, I love that. I love that we can connect and support each other to do the work that ultimately just, you know, helps people, because there's a lot of work out there, as we know, and you know, so much of our job is not about the diet. In fact, it's rarely about the diet. It's mostly about the mindset and all the other stuff, which I think we're going to talk a little bit about tonight, because I think there's a lot we can see around that. So, you know, yeah, I mean, I'm in Melbourne. I've been doing what I've been doing for sort of 7 years now. I was a personal trainer before that, but like most of us, kind of got hit with the diagnosis and got unwell, and my journey's been evolving. And I think that's one of my tips, is that there's a comment here, which I'm going to actually put that up here for us to sort of talk to first, because I think I would say my journey has evolved hugely over the last 8 to 10 years. And I think that is, you know, everyone's journey is their journey, and we can explore that. And however you handle Christmas this year may be different next year. And I think allowing yourself to be on the path of that is a really good thing. What do you girls think? What do you think, ladies, girls, ladies, women,
girlfriends?
Girlfriends.
I couldn't agree more with you, Tracey, that every year, I know with I'm now sort of 4-ish plus years into my low carb journey. Is it ketovore? Is it this? You know, I have spoken about with you before about labels, and sometimes I just think we just don't need a label, just to eat how we want to eat, and we know what is right for our body, and everybody is different. But yes, being your first low carb Christmas, Anita, I think that's exciting. That's really exciting. But I hope that you have a similar Christmas. Well, not hope, but I presume that you have a similar Christmas to us, where there's lots of proteins and salads and some seafoods and things like that. So I do prioritize, obviously, the protein. But my biggest advice is to pick your carbs and have a plan, and say, okay, am I going to indulge in the bread, or is it the potatoes, or is it dessert? But will it be all three? So maybe it is, or maybe it's not. But just, I think, have faith, have awareness, have a plan, and go in and do the best you can.
Lynda, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I agree with all of that, Kathryn. I also notice that other people don't necessarily see what's on your plate. So don't be worried about what's on your plate and what other people are thinking about what's on your plate, because if you're just your first Christmas, or you've just entered the low carb world or whatever, you as a person, Anita, might be quite wary of what other people are eating, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're watching what you are. So prioritize the protein. Big bottles of mineral water, I think, is a good thing to have in your tool belt, and just enjoy the day, and just, you know, take, if there is any comments, just take them as a joke, and be the person that's eating the optimal human diet. Be the person that's setting the standard for everybody else.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Lynda, about just enjoying the day and take the focus off the food. And yeah, look, I'm not sure what your actual setup is. I've got 2 Christmases. Like, I have 2, Christmas Eve and then Christmas Day. One's a little bit more intimate, and the next one there's, 40 of us. So no one's worrying, as you said, no one worries about what's on your plate. Everyone's worried about themselves.
Except for you.
Yeah, exactly. And my bigger family one, there's vegans, there's pescatarians, there's vegetarians, and then there's, you know, whatever you want to call me. So there's such a variety. And I just think having that respect for yourself and owning your day and having that plan and going in with, a bit of a strategy. And I love the mineral water, of course. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I think they're fantastic. So the only thing I would add to that is, you know, really to remove the pressure off yourself. Take the pressure off. I think that's actually my first tip if we can start with that. And I think for this whole lead up to Christmas, we put a whole lot of pressure on ourselves. You know, for some reason, we tend to habitually think the world's going to end on the December 26th and that everything has to be done before then. We have to see everyone. We have to have all this stuff that we have to get done. And actually what that tends to do is create a heightened pressure, you know, anxiety within us. And when we sit in that space, it's much harder for us to have clarity on the decisions that we want to make. So, you know, I'd say just remove the pressure, do the best you can, but stay as present as you can. If you can stay focused and present and just stay in the moment as much as you can, you're going to find yourself being able to handle, you know, what does come your way. And really at the end of the day, this is one day. And I know it's never one day. And I think that's where we can fall down a lot, you know, is that it spills over into New Year and then it spills over, you know. It doesn't have to. I think with awareness and with, you know, just taking it one day at a time and really having that courage, I guess, to make your choices for you. It doesn't have to be how it's always been. So that's what I'd say to you, Anita, is just challenge how you've always done it. Be kind to yourself, take the pressure off, and just try and go with the flow as much as you can, and you'll be fine. So any other questions, put them in, people that are watching, because we really are going to help you more if we can specifically answer any questions that you've got. So I've shared my first tip, remove the pressure. Kathryn, do you want to share what your first tip is for everybody?
Well, I've got lots of tips, but anyway, another tip would be goes into that planning. You've got awareness and taking the pressure off. Have awareness around what the event looks like, and you more than often will know what that is. And then also plan. So take a dish that's going to suit you. Take a dessert that's going to suit you. And I think with nibblies, hopefully there's some cheese and some cold meats and things like that there. And so I know for my bigger day on the Christmas day, I'm making up a whole lot of kebabs, which Chris and I, my husband, will probably barbecue at my brother's house. And then I'm going to take a big Greek salad. So I'm not relying on anyone else's food. And I have seen the menu because, you know, that's been circulating since October. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, not by me. Anyway, I haven't had time. Anyway, so, I just know that I'll be sorted with some really good, gorgeous kebabs that I'm making and a salad. And then I'm sure there'll be loads of other stuff too that I will not go hungry. And I'm going to enjoy everyone's company. And have some flexibility too, as you said, Tracey. Just take that pressure off and have some flexibility on the day.
The company thing is so big, you know, like it used to always be about the food for me. I certainly know that's been my evolution, you know, with, you know, this whole 10-year journey is that, you know, what I often say is the best present you can give to anyone is your presence, and just really focus on who you're with and bring your best self to that. And don't even worry so much. You know, I agree with everything Kathryn's saying, you know, be mindful, be present, and do your planning, because you don't want to be caught short hungry, because then, of course, you know, the temptations are there. But also just remember what it's truly about. And yeah, I love that. I think we can really just become so much more aware and remember that it's so much about the people. I love that. I don't drink anymore. I don't eat any of that stuff. I eat mostly meat. And my family is so used to me now, but, you know, like that was a process to get to that. And Christmas was always one of those things that I moderated. It was always in my head for about 5-6 years. Oh, no, this is the one day that I can just go, you know, I can have 6 champagnes and it's just no longer that for me. But that was my path to kind of see that. And I think we're allowed to do that. Lynda.
Yeah, I think I've been at that place where I've allowed myself, you know, a couple of glasses of champagne and a couple of bubbles, but that's not even on my radar anymore. I think as you evolve, everything changes, doesn't it? And you become more true to your own goals, which is what I think is important, keeping in your mind an awareness of what is what you're choosing to eat, moving you to your goals or away from, and allowing yourself to settle in that choice and not beat yourself up about, oh my God, I pinched that bit of chocolate, or I, did this. Just allow yourself to enjoy the day. But as Tracey says, Christmas for me as well now has become more about the people. Even as a family, we've dropped off the huge Christmas buying. We just do one Secret Santa presents. We just have to buy one thing. And so the pressure's really low key. Christmas has become really calm and not as full on as it used to be. So I think maybe if you can just step back and enjoy the day, and not be worried about, we can even get stressed about this whole Christmas thing, and then that will send your cortisol levels up, and you'll be on a high awareness. Just kind of dampen yourself down and just accept the day and love the people that you're with. That's what I would say.
Yeah, love it. So questions come through from Kimmy, who has asked, hi team, would it help to fast the day after Christmas if you can? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it depends. What do you I wouldn't probably personally, if you're going to maybe be that person to indulge on Christmas Day, I would just reset with a really high protein breakfast, and then just take a day or two to get back on track. But then if you are just going to stay, normal and just eat to your normal plan because that's your go, then there's no reason not to. But sometimes I don't want, what I say to my clients is that we don't want to fast as a punishment.
Yes.
Because I don't want those negative thoughts going in about that food association, which we talk a lot about with my clients. So, and that food conditioning. So it probably just depends, Kim, on what you are actually doing on Christmas Day. But again, if you feel like it, do it. If you don't. I've used to fast quite regularly. At the moment, I've got a little bit going on, and so I just haven't felt the need, or I haven't felt the ability to fast. I'm just not feeling it. But I know that it's coming because I know how good it is for me. But you've got to feel right, and you've got to feel in the moment for it. But don't have that guilt factor associated to fasting.
Yeah. Lynda?
Yeah, I would agree with that. It depends on the reason for the fasting. Like what is the reason for the choice to fast? Is it because you've overindulged the day before? Because like Kathryn is saying, we don't want to get into the whole cycle of having to fast because you've eaten incorrectly or not to your goal or away from your dreams that you want to eat. What am I saying here? That you're not getting away from what you want in your life by fasting the day after and eating badly the day before. It just depends what your idea is of why you want to fast. Yeah.
And I agree, I think fasting's a fantastic tool, but obviously it is about that right mindset around it, and it's much more about the health rather than obviously that kind of negative association of undoing it. But I think, however, the Christmas turns out for you, and, Millie's made a comment here that it's not just about Christmas Day, and she's right. There's many social gatherings and many get-togethers, and I think that's what we're talking about here. It's just really about taking it one event at a time. Just having the plan, being aware, just doing your best, but just picking up the next day, no matter what ended up happening. There's no wagon to fall off. This is a lifestyle, remember. We don't do diets, and none of us are in this space at all to keep it in that diet mentality. Lifestyles are lifestyles. They're not perfect. They're about just kind of knowing that however it was yesterday, today can be back on, however you want it to be. And if that looks like a fast, great. I love how, you said, Kathryn, that how it is for you at the moment. And I'm the opposite. For me, I'm actually doing quite a bit of fasting. And this is the beauty of it, when you really embrace your journey and you learn what you need to do for you, then you'll see what you want to do for you. And there's no rules around any of that.
Definitely. But I just want to add one thing, is that getting on to what Millie said about being lots of different occasions, because we can have multiple family things over those different days, and we don't want to turn a holiday, as in one day, into a whole week. So about that getting back to that, trying to get back on track when you are, in between those social events. But I do still think, and I do it myself, that you can be low carb. I'm not so much carnivore, but you can be that low carb socializing, and it's
come
something
to my
that
Greek
I do
ones. It's all
the
gyros.
time.
It's all lamb. It's all lamb on the feet. It's so easy to
Yeah.
be carnivore at the
Yeah, I
Greek
know. Yeah,
Christmases.
yeah.
But that's the thing too. I think it's usually about real food, isn't it? It's the one time
Yes,
of the
it's
year we
whole food.
actually
Yeah.
cook.
Yeah.
Actually, in a lot of ways, apart from I suppose the dessert, maybe, and the Christmas cake, and maybe the alcohol. The food in and of itself, I find, is usually pretty easy. And I think that, as I said, the more you do it, the more it just becomes another day, and it's just an exciting day to be with family. But the food just kind of takes off.
It's almost like you're walking that pathway, and it's your natural way to be. So you don't even see the food. You don't see the nitty bits and the cake. It's just not.
Yeah.
You just
But
don't
that
see
takes time, doesn't it? And
It
that's what I'm
does,
saying.
yeah.
Like I wouldn't expect if this was your first, like Anita, it's her first Christmas,
Yeah.
like she won't, necessarily sort of embrace it like that. I think, but that's okay. It's a journey. It's a process. But the fundamentals of just being kind of to yourself and doing the best you can and knowing you've done what you've seen to do, and next time you may see differently. And I think that's the essence. Sorry, Lynda, did you want to share a tip?
My tip. I guess one of my tips is I'm just relating to my family more so, that always, quite try and give me a bit of a joke about being the carb queen and all of this. And I see that as just being a bit of a role model for the person that I want to be, and showing people that choosing healthier food it makes you feel better. So I guess my big tip is to make sure if you know that it's going to be a party where there's going to be lots of food that you want to eat or wouldn't choose, maybe eat before you go so that you're feeling satiated, and then you're not tempted to try and have the dips and the chips and the things that go along. If you're feeling full already, there would be no reason to have them.
Yeah, well, that's beautifully works into this question here from Winnie. How do you respond to people who question what you are not wanting to eat or wanting to eat at a gathering without feeling guilty? And we've touched on a little bit.
People say, "Oh, I'm gluten free. I can't have that," and everybody accepts that as don't they? But you could say, "Well, I'm addicted to carbs," or "I just don't eat white flour," or "I can't eat the sugar," or whatever. You've got to find something that feels comfortable with you, because it's really your business about what you're doing, and people will be inquisitive, but I feel like it's just becoming more of a social norm that people have different ways of eating, and you're just eating the way that you eat for yourself to keep yourself well.
Yeah, and I think that if there's guilt associated with that, that's just, I think, something to process and to kind of eventually move away from, because there should never be guilt about what we choose to eat for ourselves. And that's probably just something that's come up in the past, and maybe it will come up, but we can learn to kind of just move past that a little bit and just keep that practice of stepping in and choosing what we want to eat in the face of people choosing differently. I think it's always lovely to be around people that eat in the same way you do, like it takes that pressure off totally, but that's not the reality, is it, for most of us when we go into our own families and social circles, and that's okay. We just get better at it. And I actually, I used to in the early days explain, but I don't even explain now. Like, it's kind of like this is what makes me feel good. It's what I choose to eat, and that's it. I used to do the whole, oh, well, if I eat that, I'll be on the toilet, but there's just less and less of that the longer it goes on for me. And again, this is just showing it's a journey. The more you navigate it, the more you stay with it, the more you experiment with it, the better you'll get at managing it for you.
Yeah, definitely.
I think for Winnie, if you look at it from a perspective of this food makes me feel better, then you won't feel guilty, because you know that it's nourishing you. And it could be a conversation starter. Could use it as a conversation starter to talk about why, or just move on.
If they're interested, I think, that you get that intuitive, feeling, don't you? If if someone is actually interested or if they're out to judge. And, you know, I don't have time for people who are out to judge. It's like they're not interested in really what I'm doing, because you know if they are, and they'll ask you different questions, and that's a lovely conversation to have. But, you know, it's probably not the one that you will normally.
It's hard to know where it comes from, a place of curiosity or is it a place of judgment, and sometimes they can be a bit backhanded, and family functions can be interesting dynamics. So it is but I was talking to one of my clients this week about food pushes, and when we have those aunties and they want to show their love and affection through food, and if we have maybe been on this, we're only new to this low carb journey, and maybe not everyone knows. And I know that one of the things I did when I first started is I just didn't say anything. I just didn't have, you know, the carbs. But then if it's sort of pushed to you, and it's like, especially in a lot of cultures, and it's that you've got to have this and you've got to have this, but I made this. This is how I show my love. And there's a couple of strategies. You can just say no, and that is a full sentence. Or another strategy, if you're still potentially maybe got your L plate still on, or you're wanting to sort of take a softer approach, just take the food. I've just received the food. I take it, I go, yeah, thanks. Great. Yep. Park it. Distract. Move on. Give it to someone else. Yeah, so if you're not wanting to offend, maybe it's a new family member, or it's a sensitive relationship, or there is some other nuance where it's just, I'm just not eating that. I have just received it, and I just go, yep, that's great, and I just put it down, and I you know, make a, and I just did that. Maybe my sister-in-law's on here, I'm not sure, but I did that recently, and she was none the wiser. And you know, there were deep fried, beautiful Indian food that she makes, and absolutely gorgeous, but it wasn't for me. And you know what? I just popped it down, but I received it, and she went to a lot of effort, and someone else ate it, but nothing happened.
I like that. That's good. I like that, Kathryn.
So yeah, there is going to be that. I just feel like sometimes, especially in family functions, and we don't see them all throughout the year, there is those very passionate food pushers and naysayers. So just accept.
Yeah, and I think it's looking at who that is too, because if it, you know, it certainly was an issue with my my in-laws that, you know, I had to deal with, particularly not just for me, because it was more just the kids. And those conversations are challenging because, exactly as Kathryn says, you know, it's love. Food is love, and that is how a lot of people do show their love. But I see it as such a beautiful opportunity for them to actually evolve themselves and get experimental around how they show their love. So love now is, you know, like trip to the movies, or, you know, going to Luna Park, or buying them some clothes. It's no longer, you know, a whole lot of sweet stuff. And we have to have these conversations. If it's just someone that is not in your, you know, that's just a fly by fly, you know, it doesn't really matter. But I think, at the end of the day, it's just remembering that we are absolutely okay to say no, and we're not responsible for how the other receives that. We're just responsible for how we say it, and we can understand, I appreciate that, thank you, but it's just not for me, thank you very much. And we just get better at doing that. Feels uncomfortable, don't you? Really make it.
Yeah, it does. But and sometimes too, that Tracey too, when we do that, we get more confident. So I know I had less confidence in standing up for my low carb values 4 years ago. Do I do now? I'm just saying, I'm good, thanks. No, I'm good. Full sentence. And as the beautiful Natalie E. West says, it's like, what goes on your plate is not a community project.
That's right. That's right. But everyone will think it is. So you have to just train them. And you've got to be patient too. That's the other thing, is hold the space for people to come to it. You know, you're ahead of them in a lot of ways because you've seen stuff they haven't yet seen. And I think part of loving your family and the people that you do love is to let them come to it in their own way. It doesn't mean that you change you. It means that you just give them time to accept it. And they will, but you have to stand firm, I do think, in, you know, in your own choices. Lynda, did you want to?
Winnie?
Yeah, question, Winnie. She says, Kathryn, you got me. Yes, this is the effort when she's talking particularly around in-laws, I think, who make things and put an effort in. And, you know, like with that too, you know, we get a lot of Christmas chocolates and stuff, obviously, you know, people give that. And I would never say anything to a gift. I will always take a gift and say thank you, but I won't eat it. And I think I'll re-gift it, or sometimes it might end up in the bin. I've really gotten over the guilt of throwing out crappy food, you know. it came from love. I received it with love, but ultimately I do get to make those choices. So there's a lot in that, isn't there? Because, and that's part of leftovers, that whole mentality that we can't throw things out. And I think we have to challenge that, particularly if it's stuff that we know isn't what we want to be eating, and continuing it right over the days that come. Anyway, that's another question. Who are we up to for number? Kathryn, do you want to give us a tip?
Yeah, I think we might have touched on it before, but another one that's just, come to mind, just lose the perfection. Lose the perfection. Just accept some uncertainty, because I think when we fear something, we don't fear something, then when it comes, it's like, oh, yeah, I was expecting you. Yeah, not someone, but the thing.
Yeah.
And so when we accept and we have that awareness around uncertainty, and we almost anticipate it, or we think it might come, or we're not sure what the event looks like, or who's going to be there, or what they're going to say, then that's okay. So, but yeah, lose the perfection. And again, but if you can just contain it and get right back on track the next day to where you want to be, then
yeah,
do yourself some kindness.
Absolutely. Perfectionism is a made-up myth, and that's what I talk about all the time.
No one's perfect.
No, but often it's come from a response where we felt that we've had to be perfect in some point in our lives so that we've been accepted. And again, this is oh my gosh, is not going low carb the most beautiful gift into opening up so much in our world and in our life, and in who we are and who we want to be. And that's probably not that I was going on to my tip, because I still wanted Lynda's insight, but just we can look at Christmas in that vein as well, as just opportunities to learn what upsets us, what triggers us, what we're confronted with, but it's all practice to remember that at the end of the day, we're the ones responsible for ourselves, right?
Definitely.
Do you want to add anything, Lynda, around perfectionism?
Well, I was going to say, one of the things that I do when I know that I've got a big family event coming, or a wedding or something like that, is I make sure I save time in the morning to sit and think about what the day will look like and how I might address this problem, or if this comes up, what I might say back. But I also like to do that if I'm walking in nature. I think it's a real grounding place for me, where I can head off and have an hour's walk in the morning and just plan the day and think about what I want the day to look like, and try and drive the day, just my goals for the day. And that might be not being perfect, and allowing myself to just be in the moment with everyone, and not worry about being perfect all the time, because it does put a lot of stress on us, especially at this time of the year. It's too much to try and be perfect.
Yep, remove the pressure. So I wanted to bring this one in that Anita's talked about, because I love this. So basically, I think she's sort of saying that at one point she was with a friend, and she ate consciously, and she ate in a way that she was happy with, but then on another occasion she didn't. And again, what I think this is highlighting is the humanness of us all, and this is something that we will all experience and we'll all go through. Particularly, I think Anita was our first Christmas low carber in the early year. I'll say years, right? In the early years, this will happen a lot. And a lot of this for me comes down to, yes, we're human. We can't always be present, and we're not always able to make conscious choices. What do you guys think about this one?
Yeah, great question, Anita. And I thank you for sharing your win, and also maybe not a win.
Learning experience.
And the way people say that's a fail. Oh, I fell off the wagon. Well, you know what? No one falls. You step, and then guess what? There's a new wagon coming along all the time, and you just get back on. And I think we have to just look at it as simply as that. We never fall off. We might step off, but it's just that gentle step. And we go, okay, we learnt, and then we step back on. And I think sometimes when we change our language around a little bit, it's a little bit kinder to ourselves. That helps too. And also is that just, get back on, go with it. And, I always say, I don't know what I was saying to say now, is when you fail stands for the first attempt in learning. So out of all our failures or stepping off or whatever that might mean, there's always a lesson in that. And I think that's where we get that deep awareness, and then we carry that on forward for the next experience that's going to help us. And that's literally how I did my low carb journey as well. It was just learning and going, you know what? And look, the other night we went to a beautiful little French restaurant, and I picked the duck, and I thought, oh, that's good. And I was too busy talking. I didn't read, and what I'm sort of now learning this far in is to say no sauce. The sauce was so sweet, and it ruined, I just wanted to shave my tongue, and it was disgusting. But you know what? I'm still learning and tweaking and picking up on things. Gosh, I should have done that. And I thought I would have enjoyed that meal so much better if it wasn't for the sauce. And maybe I didn't read the menu enough. But again, that was another learning and a light bulb moment for me to go forward with ask for no sauce, going forward. So dwelling certainly doesn't help. And but I do believe that we can have awareness out of those lessons.
Lynda?
Yeah, I like your learning in that moment, Anita. I think you've stepped another step closer to your goal, just reading your comment there, because you shared the meal, you had some things on your plate, you worked your way through dessert, and even though you didn't do well the other night, it's like you've learned that you didn't do well, and you've recognized that, and it's a way of moving forward, so you can use that experience the next time and know how you felt the next day about that. It's just a step closer to where you're trying to be. And I can relate to reading menus in restaurants, because I was in Belgium and I picked off the menu the slow cooked Belgian beef. And I thought, this is going to be great. It's slow cooked beef. It's going to be full of all those good things. But it was so sweet. And when I Googled the Belgian slow cooked beef recipe on my phone, they put 1.5 cups of sugar in the sauce.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a slow cooked sweet gravy, and it was terrible. So you just learn all the time. And Anita, you've done so well. And I think the good point you've raised is learning to be kind to yourself. It's just the most important thing, because we're all still learning. We all still have to put one foot in front of the other and remember what we've learned and keep going forwards.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything I can add to that. I think it's these. I love it when my clients come to me and share these, because I know they don't, but these are the things we learn. We don't learn when we do things well. We learn things when we do things in a way that we perhaps don't want to do that way again. These are all opportunities to learn. So yeah, definitely that being hard on yourself is very normal. That's what the brain will do. But really, we've spent how many years of our life eating a certain way and creating habits in a certain way. As much as we want this to be undone overnight, it doesn't happen overnight. This is a process, and I think that's probably the biggest message that all of us are going to hopefully leave you all with. It's a process. But my tip around process is that try and focus on the journey. Look, wherever you are now, there's something for you to enjoy. There's something for you to see. Try and not focus really solely on that goal weight or whatever, and think that life can begin when you get there. Life is happening now, and no matter where you are in your health journey, you can see things around that and learn to embrace now. And the more you do that, the more you'll just be able to be in the flow of those moments, Anita, and just go with what comes up. But remember, being conscious and making those conscious choices is something we get better at with practice.
Sure do.
Yeah.
So true.
Lynda, do you want to share a little tip?
A little tip.
Right.
We've really run out of my little tips.
Oh, right. Do you want to throw one in, Kath?
Sure. I just want to highlight to people that if your day doesn't go to plan, you're not going to ruin your months of work in one day or 2 days or a couple of days.
Mm.
So again, it goes back to that kindness that we're talking about with Anita and that non-guilt trip sort of stuff. So just know, and I mean, sure, it's, you know, if you can choose how you want to navigate the day yourself, but you're not going to ruin everything that you've done in the last couple of months and year or whatever in 1 or 2 days. So
what about so Millie's comment in, you know, here is really that that's the mindset I think so many of us would have lived in, that, you know, we work hard all year and we deserve the indulgence. And I think that's just something that we have to unravel slowly with that, you know, honesty around what an indulgence is. I mean, indulgence to me isn't something that's toxic. I used to think it was. That was, you know, that's my habitual conditioning, that dessert is a treat, dessert is what we have when, you know, and the world is bent for that, right? We live in that world where we are adoring, you know, sweet stuff and alcohol, and that's all part of every celebration. So it takes time to, I guess, really find that deep truth around what is an indulgence. I mean, a massage, a cold plunge, a run, you know, all those, spending time with my family, those things are true indulgences to me. But I guess that's all part of the journey. No, my tip, I'll throw one of my tips in, is know thyself. So it really, I suppose, continues on with this discovery journey that we're all on for the rest of our lives when we, you know, are on this journey. And I think what I want to sort of show around that is that I really got to know myself bit by bit over this process, and it did take time. And I used to think I, you know, could moderate. And I, you know, I now know that moderation kept me stuck in this dependency, particularly with alcohol and sugar. They came hand in hand for me. And I think it really had to get to a point where I had to be really honest with myself. And there's a lot of, you know, cognitive dissonance that we do. We want something, yet our behavior doesn't match it. And that's all a part of being human. We are all on that. And we're all in some level, you know, of awareness around that. But I think the more you do know what works for you, and the more you step in and practice, you know, honoring that, the better all of these situations will become, because Christmas is not going away. You want to get better at navigating any experience where you're thrown a curveball, or you're not with like-minded people, or, you know, whatever. And that comes down to, I think, to really knowing yourself and having the courage to look and just being honest with what works for you and what doesn't. And actually, since I made that conscious decision that I was just, nothing was better for me, no alcohol, no dessert, it's just freed me. And there's only positive things in that, but I can't nobody else could make that choice for you. That has to come from within you.
Well said. Definitely. And I think that's different for everybody. And,
yes,
you know, and that's what you need to own yourself. And yeah.
Yes.
What about, sorry, Lynda.
Sorry. No, you go.
No. Oh, no, I was just going to say, what about relationships? And we are going to finish up. I did say we'd go for a maximum of 45 minutes, but I just would love to just for us to share a bit of insight around managing relationships, because I think it's not just the food that can be challenging to our health. It can be the relationships, and, you know, a lot of the pressures that we put on ourselves, and maybe on Christmas Day, you know, not just Christmas Day, but over time, you know, there can be challenging relationships with this. Any thoughts on you know, how to kind of manage that? You guys want to share anything? I think for me, it was always, it comes back to what we said at the start around acceptance. You know, particularly in the early days of low carb, I really wanted everyone to do it the way I was doing it, because I was really uncomfortable with people doing it differently to me. And that did cause a little bit of stress and anxiety and a little bit of tension in some of the relationships. So if you're noticing that you're in a position where you just want others to do it the way you're doing, or it's, you know, there's some insights that you can have, and awareness you can have around that, freeing others to do it in their way. And one of the things I've been talking about a lot in my group is this, curiosity, that Christmas Day can be such an incredible learning experience if we show up from a place of curiosity and just kind of look and notice rather than try and judge or change. I just wanted to throw that out there because I know that there's, it can cause a lot of anxiety. When we sit in this place of anxiety, we tend to not make the best choices for ourselves. Anyone want to add anything to that?
I think it goes back to some of the tips I've got here for a summary. It's going back, as you just said, knowing your why, your deep reason for why you are doing this lifestyle. So owning it, and no matter what the noise is or what other people are doing, it's like I just play that movie forward and going, well, I know if I have that or if I go with that, then I just know I will feel rubbish or that's not who I want to be. So again, that I think it comes back to that relationship to yourself.
Yeah.
Very important.
It
Very
is
important.
Yeah,
that
Lynda?
relationship with self is really important. And I like Barry's comment here about how he notices that he makes some people feel uncomfortable at the table, because I've noticed that. Because now people are starting to question, oh, I've got this on my plate, and they kind of look at you as if they want some, I don't know, judgment or some positivity or some way of helping them with what they put on their plate.
Yes,
And
they want you to say it's okay.
Well, it's like we hold up a mirror.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I don't like it.
Nope.
Yeah, I just don't even get involved with that. I don't know how I manage it. I just cruise through the conversation and change it to something else because I know how I suspect how they're feeling, and it must not be feeling very nice to have to ask someone else to validate what's on your plate. So I just kind of notice and then just somehow breeze through the conversation and don't even interact with that.
It's
Not
interesting, isn't it? I noticed that too, obviously my family knows what I do, and I get the whole, oh yeah, well, I'm going to have dessert, it's for today, and I'm just having it for today. I'm just like, okay,
sure,
like
whatever.
I'm not a health coach. I'm not working when I'm at a family function, and and I think I know the audience aren't health coaches, but it can be the same. It's just whatever, it does bring up, exactly as Kathryn said, a mirror, and that's okay. That you're not responsible for what comes up in them. You're just responsible for how you react to it. That's all.
Yeah.
And it goes back to if you want to engage into the dessert side of the day, which I do. So I take my own dessert. So yeah, exactly. Absolutely, Millie. I'm going to be making my burnt Basque cheesecake, which is going to be all low carb, and I know how much of that monk fruit's gone in and what goes on top, and that's fine. And but that's something I know. I do eat low carb desserts, and I know you don't, but that would only be on these occasions. I don't not every day or anything like that, and that's okay.
Yes, that's okay. This is what people are doing, finding their path, and there are wins. There you go, Pascal. That's awesome. It's not always, you do have an influence. It's not your job to change anyone. You can't change anyone. But when you do stay true to you, you do influence people, and you plant seeds, and you never know when those seeds will grow. Let's wrap it up. Do you just want to, any other tips that you had that you want to share before we say goodbye?
I just wanted to add that as you practice that saying no or making that personal choice for yourself, it's like you're exercising that bicep muscle, and it just gets stronger all the time. You're better at doing it without even worrying about what you're doing, feeling uncomfortable.
The practice. Yeah, absolutely. And that was one of my tips, was that I think I've said most of mine, I think staying as present as you can, not on Christmas Day, but every day, try and just focus, get grounded, know when your mind's taking you off out of the present moment. Try and bring it back as best you can. I know that's not hard. That's not easy to do. But again, that is easier with practice. It's just remembering. It's just awareness. that was pretty much. Oh yeah, be curious, watch. I said that, and the greatest gift you can give is your presence in your relationship. So that was my other one. Kathryn, did you have any extra ones to add?
Oh no, I just had a little summary because I know you always ask me for a summary. So I wrote one. I was out
Can you
walking
please
this morning
give
and I
us
went,
the summary?
I've got to have the summary, the executive summary. So I've got to read my summary.
I love it. Okay.
Oh, you know. So no, so okay, to sum it all up, we have talked, I think, about all my list of my summaries, very efficient on a piece of paper. Again, have the awareness, know your triggers. So know, you know, potentially what they are, read the event, like Lynda said, have that plan. I love that you said going for that nature walk beforehand, and you know the factors at play for the event. Preparation, have a plan, take the food if need be. Self-belief, you've got to know why you are doing this. You have to dig deep to your deep-rooted cause for change. Know what's important to you. One thing I don't think we've touched on this one, is community and support. You've got to have that support, I do think. So is it a girlfriend? Is it a family member? Is that, like you're saying, Tracey, that like-minded individual? Have someone there that you can reach out to for wins and fails. You know, we saw Anita's little, you know, 2 bits of wins and fails there. So that was fantastic. So that's great to be able to have that platform to share on, and that knowing that getting support is not a weakness. It's actually a strength.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. What a great summary.
And the last point I thought of was to have that tenacity and that resilience. We really need to be able to, you know, have that back yourself and really dig deep. And if you, as we said, if you go off track and you fail, it's okay. You're not out of the club. Just get back on.
Yes, I love it. And what's the first step in resilience? Compassion. And we've definitely touched on that tonight. And you know, we've been hard on ourselves all of our lives. It doesn't work. Compassion works so much better. It frees you just to get back on and focus. And we are human beings. We're all doing our best. And thank you, lovely, lovely ladies, for coming and sharing your time. There's so many thank yous and lovely comments to all of you. I will be emailing you all out a recording of this, and obviously just sending you Lynda and Kathryn's contact details if you'd like to connect with them on social media, or otherwise they're amazing coaches. So thank you all for coming, and have a wonderful Christmas. Thanks, Rihanna. She said the quiet courage is what I love as a quote from me. That was one of my things, the quiet courage. We don't have to have loud courage. It is a quiet courage that we need to tap into every day. Gosh, I haven't thought about that for a little bit, but it touches my heart. I think it is exactly what it is that we need. Yeah, beautiful. Lovely. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. We'll see you another time. Bye.
See you.